Hello and welcome to part 2 of our Welcome Partners training. Hope you're enjoying my bright yellow t-shirt here. This is a Welcome Partners t-shirt. Each of you will have the privilege of wearing one of these down to the airport as part of our Welcome Partners effort. You can see on the front, it says welcome in about 15 different languages. On the back, it says Welcome Partners. So if we are not doing a promo at your church so that we see you there to give you one live, then we just need to connect with you sometime before your first trip to the airport and get a nice t-shirt to you. Obviously, the color was chosen specially for you to be highly visible in the crowd at the airport. And so this is part of your uniform as a welcome partner. This is part 2 of the training, as I said, and we're going to get into kind of the nitty gritty that at this point, the practical aspects of signing up to be a welcome partner, of connecting with a student, and then the actual pickup process at the airport. Okay, great. Our goal is that you will be confident that you have all of the practical stuff in hand so that you can focus on relationship with the students while you're there with them. Let's get going. I'm going to share my screen and share some information with you here. Okay. As we talked about in the first part of the training, our theme verse this year is come and see for yourself. In everything we do, that's our goal, that the students will be compelled to come and see Jesus for themselves and respond to him and respond to his love for them. Getting right into it now, there are 3 roles that you can fulfill as a welcome partner. The first is a driver. Driver, obviously, by the name, it drives the car, the vehicle. Your first responsibility will be to get everybody to the airport and back safely. You also will be the one who schedules the trip, which means you'll be the one who decides when you leave to get there in time. So you're going to need a little special information. Let me tell you a couple of things about the driver's role. Like I said, the driver does the scheduling. And so it'll be your responsibility to check when the flight arrives, and then give enough time to meet the student, be there waiting for the student when they come up out of the customs area. Here's the catch. We don't meet the student when they arrive. We meet them 1 hour later. And I will go through some of the details of exactly how to make that connection. And I'll repeat that again at least once more after, because sometimes that eludes folks, that we're not meeting them at the time. We give them an hour to clear customs and get their baggage all together, and then we tell them we'll meet them an hour after their actual arrival time. So that's the driver's role. Then the driver will meet with the rider and rendezvous with them someplace here in Riverside and ride down, pick up the student and then bring them back. Your main goal is to focus on the safety of the trip. Second member of the team will be the rider. And we call them riders because they ride along with the driver. So you'll meet the driver here Because you're in the car, you guys can use the HOV lane, and that will help you get down there a little bit quicker. But in addition to, so when you get to the airport, your role will be to jump out. Obviously, hopefully the driver will stop for you. No, he'll pull up to the terminal and he'll let you out of the car gently. And you go into the terminal holding a sign. So you want to make a sign before with the student's name on it. And there is a rail in the terminal there, in Terminal B especially, there is a rail. And 90% of our flights will come into Terminal B, Bradley International Terminal. This famous rail is where all the chauffeur drivers and other drivers stand to meet people coming up out of the international flights. They go through customs, they come up a ramp into the terminal, and it's kind of a choke point. Everybody has to come by there. So that's where we stand to meet the students. So the rider then will stand there with a sign. Once you've rendezvoused with the student, you have their baggage in hand. You'll call the driver will come back, pick you up, and you're on your way. So that's the rider's role. Now, in addition to that, the rider has the privilege of introducing themselves to the student and getting to know a little bit about the student. So the rider should be the friendly one. That's why we've used this picture. Actually, this is probably a better illustration of what it's going to look like this year. Really, this is my friendly face, is what it would more sound like, I think. So that's the rider. He's the friendly guy. He's the guy who chats up the student, gets to know them, and makes them feel at home and makes them feel comfortable. Maybe gives a little bit of a tour of the city as you're driving around, explaining things that they're seeing, getting their first impressions. That's part of the fun of riding with the students home. So the rider's job then is to do that. We'll have a little more detail about that in a couple minutes here. The third member of the team is the arrival guide. And the arrival guide meets them the next day, usually the next day. Sometimes if they come in early, they have time to meet you the same day. And you show them around the town. You help them get established here in Riverside. Your role is to help them get their cell phones, obviously, sometimes bank accounts established, do some shopping. We have some furniture that's available for them, used furniture. You might arrange to have some furniture delivered to their apartment. Just the students' immediate needs as they come into town. You're the one who will spend probably at least a whole day with them, helping them with some of those needs. So that's the third member of the team. So those are the three roles. And the reason we've divided them into three roles is so no one person has to do everything. And so we can cover the student thoroughly and be available for all of their needs. Don't want to burn anybody out to drive down, to have to interact with the student while you're driving, or have to be the one that meets them the next day. That's quite a commitment. Some people want to drive down. Some people are ready and willing to drive to the airport and come back. Others would rather stay in town. So arrival guides can still have a role, have a part in Welcome Partners, a very important part, even though you don't go to the airport. Let me tell you this, if you can fill multiple roles. So if you want to be the driver and then meet them the next day and be the arrival guide, or you want to be the rider and then meet them the next day and be the arrival guide, more power to you. That's a great thing. So those are the 3 roles, and you can fill 1 or more if you like. But we've broken it into 3 so nobody feels overwhelmed with the job. The only difference this year over previous years, good news is that the airport is open. There's a little bit of construction going on, but there are no extreme rules or restrictions on us. They just ask that you wear a mask in the airport. So the rider and the driver should both be wearing masks when they pick up the student. We ask that you wear a mask while you're in the car with the student. I know it's not necessary if you're vaccinated, but we would prefer that you wear a mask, even if you are vaccinated. By the way, the students will all be fully vaccinated. They have to be fully vaccinated in order to get their visa. So any student coming into the country is vaccinated against all the strains of COVID. They've taken a vaccination that's approved by the CDC to come to the United States. So it's not for their sake, it's not for your sake necessarily, but really for their sake. As you know, masks really protect other people. And let me tell you, these students come from cultures where masks are not unusual, especially the Chinese. They wear masks in public because people are very close. They still remember SARS from a few years back, and the COVID-19 concerns were very great there. So mask wearing has become a part of their culture, and they do it to honor other people. They do it to protect other people. And they will see it that way if you are wearing a mask, that you are seeking and reaching out to them. Incarnational friendship, incarnational love. You're going the extra mile for them to protect them in this situation. So that's why I'd ask that you wear a mask, even if you are fully vaccinated, when you're with a student in the car. Let me give a little caveat there. If you and the student decide at some point on the ride back that you're vaccinated and you assure him that, he or she is vaccinated, you assure them that you are vaccinated, if you are fully vaccinated, and you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable not wearing a mask in the car, then I'll let that be your decision. But please begin at least your ride back wearing a mask. Okay. At least enough said about that. The pickup procedure. Okay. The first step is to sign up to be a welcome partner. And you do that by going to this website, bit.ly/welcomers, capital F 2021. So that's Welcomers Fall 2021 at bit.ly. I will put these links in the comments below this video. So all the live links will be there. You should also have those live links in the email that I sent to everybody to announce welcome partners and invite you to be part of this. And if for any reason you can't get through, obviously you can get a hold of me and I can help you get through to this. But the first step is to sign up, to give us your information. This form, it's a form that you'll fill out, a Google form that just asks for your name, email, and phone number, and then comments if you have any. That's just so we have your basic information as we're forming teams and we're connecting you with the students. So first step is to fill out the form, welcomers form. Once you have registered, I guess you'd say, as a welcome partner, then you can check online to find students' schedule, the schedule of when flights will be arriving, and who is arriving when, and be part of that process. Let me show you something here. I'm going to go and share my screen. And that link that I just had up there, this bit.ly arrivals for 2022. This link will take you to this page. This is the live page. And this is the list of students that we have that will be picking up as of August 8th, when I'm making this training video. So as of now, we have 49 students on the list. As you can see, if you look down the list, you'll find on this form their first name, gender, country they come from, the airport they'll be landing at, the date of their arrival, and the time of their arrival. And as you look across here, you'll see that there are 3 roles again: driver, rider, and this is arrival guide. So you will go to this form. You'll find it when you click on the link that I'm giving you there. You go to this form. Now there are instructions over here too, okay, to remind you exactly what you need to do with this form. So you're going to decide the day that's good for you. You say maybe, let's say on the 31st, you're available for this 2:30 pickup. Actually, remember, you're going to meet them at 3:30. So it's a 2:30 pickup, meeting them at 3:30. What I would do is go across and copy paste that information, go to Brenda Harris's email address here, send your email with your name, arrival time, and the role you want to play. Do you want to be the driver, the rider, the arrival guide, the rider and arrival guide, the driver and AG, whatever role or roles you want to play? Send that email to her with the information of the student, and she will then put your name on the list. It's easier for us to do it that way. Rather than have you put your name on the list, and it get a little confusing and hectic for us to keep up with it then. So only Brenda can edit the form. You won't have that ability to put your name on. Brenda then will put your name on the list, and she will send you an email. And that email will have the student's information. And as soon as we have it, the other members of your team. If you're a driver, then we'll introduce you to your rider and arrival guide, and so on. Okay, so this is how you connect with a student or decide on the ride that you want to go on. Okay, so I said first step is sign up. Second step is to connect with the student. Next step is to get your next step, as I said there, is to email Brenda Harris 622@yahoo.com. So you'll send her your choice, and then you will receive back from her an email with the names of the members of your team and some instructions for the arrival guide. The arrival guides will receive, because you're going to be helping them, for instance, find a bank account, we'll give you the list of the most popular banks for students the ones closest to the UCR. You may be helping them with their cell phones. We'll give you a list of the cell phone providers and some pros and cons of each of them, so you can kind of be a local expert for the students. Some may even have to hook up their utilities in their apartment. We'll give you instructions on how to do that. So all the things, hopefully all the things that you'll need to do your job as an arrival guide, those instructions will come to you. We'll also remind the writer that they want to make a sign with a student's name on it to take down. And we'll give a brief review of the driver's role and how to figure when to leave. And let me go over that again really quickly. Then you're going to want to contact the student as soon as possible using, again, WhatsApp if they're Indian students, WeChat if they're Chinese students, and we'll make some suggestions for other international chat apps, texting apps. So you're going to want to download. If the student you're picking up is from India, you're going to want to download WhatsApp or WeChat, and you will have the student's contact information, either their WeChat ID, WhatsApp. You use the phone number of the student, which you'll be given, and if you need any help, we can walk you through the process of beginning a group that would include you and all three of the members of your team, as well as a student or students that you're picking up. So you then begin immediately introducing yourself to the student. If it's a week or 2 weeks, I hope, before your pickup time, you can begin texting the student and introduce yourself and say, hi, I will be meeting you at the airport, or I'll be helping you when you come into Riverside, and begin that friendship by chatting with them before using one of these apps. Okay. Getting a little not as well organized as I would like to be. Oh, I do have it here. Okay, we'll go through it here at this point. Okay, so what's it going to look like when you actually go down to pick up the student? Here's the procedure. The day of the pickup arrives. The driver, as I said, your role is to calculate the time to leave. I check about 3 hours in advance to find out the actual arrival time of their flight. You will have their flight number and arrival time. And the only way really to know the real arrival time, because I have to tell you the truth, international flights are notoriously late. Are notoriously late. So, so about 2 or 3 hours before the arrival time, I go in and you type into, this is the rider's the driver's responsibility is to determine when you're going to leave, and you do that by typing into the search box on your browser the actual flight number, QR739, for instance. If you type in QR739, it will tell you maybe that QR739 left Delhi or Dubai 1 hour late. And although it's scheduled to arrive at 3:30, it's not going to be in until 4:30. So if it arrives at 4:30, you will be meeting the student at 5:30, 1 hour after the actual arrival time, as I've said here, 1 hour after the actual arrival time. So once I find the actual arrival time, I go to my GPS, I figure about how long it's going to take me to get there based on traffic conditions. an hour or so before I have to leave. So if the flight arrives at, let's say, 3:30, we're going to be meeting it at 4:30. It's an hour and a half drive down to the airport, let's say. So that means we want to leave at 3 o'clock. You might want to leave at 2:45 to give yourself a little bit of a cushion. So you and the rider have a conversation, maybe a text on that the WhatsApp group that you formed, and say, I'll meet you at Starbucks at Canyon Crest at 2:45, and we'll leave from there. So you make that arrangements to, as it says here, rendezvous with the rider. Okay. So the rider and driver drive down. The great thing is you can use the HOV lane now when you go down. And when you get there, the rider will hop out at the terminal, as I said, and he moves up to the rail, go inside the terminal, inside the doors at Bradley International, where most are, and you'll stand at the rail with your sign until you see the student come up. Two things I do. The nice thing about having the student with you on a chat group is they can communicate now with you and say, I'm held up, or I'm going to be there in a few minutes. I'm still here. I'm working my way through. You can stay in touch with the student and know, where he is and have the assurance that he's coming. He has the assurance, she has the assurance that there's someone waiting for them when they get out. So it gives a tremendous sense of peace to the students. And then the rider and the driver can monitor how things are going, so that the driver will see the text between the rider and the student and say, oh, I'm going to need to be there in about 20 minutes or half hour or so. Let me think about that. Okay. Let me tell you, the driver, after he drops you off, most drivers, you can either go to the cell phone lot, or I like to go to actually the Starbucks down south down Sepulveda. There's a Starbucks. If you go up Century, there's a Carl's Jr., wherever you like to go. And you just wait until you get the call from the rider saying, I have the student and we're ready. Okay. So the driver then will pick up the student and the rider at the outer curb. And then on the way home, again, the driver's role is safety and getting them home on time and in good condition. So the rider then has a chance to talk with the student. We have a welcome flyer, which tells them about our welcome party and some of the other services that they need. It reaffirms what kind of help they need. And on the way home, you give them this flyer. The other thing you can do on the way home is a great opportunity for you to connect them with the arrival guide, who will also be in your text group. So you can either do that by a phone call, or I really think texting is probably a better way for the student to communicate with the arrival guide. So get your arrival guide's attention and give them a chance to set up the appointment when and where they'll meet the student. If you pick them up at 3, 4 o'clock, they're probably not going to get them to their apartment until 6 or 7 o'clock at the earliest. And so you'll get them to their apartment. They'll get into their apartment. They're not going to be ready to start working on getting bank accounts and cell phones and those kinds of things, obviously, until the next day. So the arrival guide can make arrangements and say, I know you are at Highland Point Apartments. And you're in apartment 39. I'll meet you outside Highland Point Apartments at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then you're off and running. It just really expedites things and makes it easier for everybody if you're all on that text group together. So that's how it works. Your last mm, act, your last responsibility then for the driver and the rider is to drop the student at their apartment or the hotel that they're going to be at. And I always help the student in with their luggage after I drop them off. And it's a good idea to pray for them too. Say, can I pray for you as you know, as we say goodbye now? And I pray and thank God for a safe trip for them. Pray that they'll be blessed in their time here, and then say goodbye to them. All right. So that is the process for bringing a student or meeting a student at the airport. If you have questions about that, or if there's anything there that wasn't crystal clear to you, please ask your questions or make your comments in the comment section below this video. Again, all the links and any of the documents that I've referred to, we'll have links to those things in the description portion below the video down underneath this. Okay, very good. I hope that was helpful. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for taking the time to sit through this training, to both of them if you're new. And I hope that it was helpful for you. I hope you consider it time well spent. As I said at the beginning, our goal here was to alleviate any fears or apprehensions that you have about the process of picking up a student. It might sound complicated at first, but it's really not that hard. It's not that big a deal. And we're making these suggestions to you that you do it this way. It's based on our experience and what we have had success with in the past. Yeah, our goal again is that we would take away any kind of apprehension or confusion that might be there so that you can concentrate on building a relationship with the student. One last thing, I have not included my email and phone number in the presentation, so I will put that in the description below. But let me give it to you here once more verbally. My email is mcain@isionline.org. My phone number is 951-906-2674. Great. I hope I've given you an abundance of information, all that you need to do your job well. And I look forward to having a very successful year. We're thinking we'll have a lot of students to pick up this year, and we are so grateful for your help. And these students will be incredibly grateful. Let me tell you, when I meet students at the party, this is the first thing that they mention. Thank you so much for meeting me at the airport when I was afraid, when I was apprehensive, when I didn't know anybody in this new country I was coming to. For the first time, I'd left my country and came here, and you were there to meet me. It is just a huge privilege that we have, and an incredibly powerful act of love, and they see it that way. So what you're doing is very valuable, so much more than just a taxi service. It is showing Jesus' love in a very practical, real way. Can't say that too many times or in too many different ways. But I hope now that you will have a great season of airport pickups, which will launch us into a season when we see many, many students come to know Jesus. Thank you again for your time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to communicate with me or Brenda. God bless you.